Hello everyone and welcome to another Thomas video. So today we're taking a look at the Mirror Eye Twitch mid-range deck in Thomas format. So this one is not quite tempo, but it's a little bit more control-y style, so I think mid-range fits the name perfectly. And this deck comes from Nimble Mongoose. This is quite the deck. When I first saw this, I thought it wasn't gonna be good, but it's actually surprisingly decent. So as the name suggests, we are playing this card called Eye Twitch, which is a card that I've actually played recently in a historic deck, in a sacrifice deck. And the reason why Eye Twitch suddenly became really good is because of the fact that Avatar set has given us so many lesson cards. Because funny enough, the Strixhaven actually had pretty good learn cards, but it didn't really have good lesson cards. And basically the Avatar set kind of fixes that problem. And the way we're going to use the Eye Twitch is we're going to use a card called Flare Malice to sacrifice this card. But even without having to use a Flare Malice, usually the Eye Twitch, gets a chump block off and then you can tutor for a card. Or a lot of the times you can even Orcish Bowmaster your own Eye Twitch if you really need to. And the cards that we're going to be grabbing are Boomerang Basics. This is a card that says return target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. If you control that permanent, you draw a card. So you could potentially, bounce your own Orcish Bowmasters, but a lot of the times this is just going to be bouncing opponents, token creatures like Dark Depths creature, or maybe even like reanimate targets back to opponent's hand. So we have one copy there, and we have a copy of Quencha. It's a counter spell. And we have a copy of Daily Indoctrination. It's basically a Thoughtseize, but only for non-land permanent. And then we have a Desperate Plea. You can sacrifice a creature and you can choose one or both. Return target creature card from graveyard to the battlefield if its power is less than or equal to the sacrificed creature's power. And you can also destroy opponent's creature as well. And then we have a copy of an Ozai's Cruelty. Deal 2 damage to the target player, and that target player discards 2 cards, which is pretty powerful. And then we have a copy of a Ruinous Waterbending, which is basically going to be our board wipe against energy decks. And lastly, we have a copy of Pest Summoning, and you can grab this if you really need a blocker against opponent's creatures. Definitely not the best card to grab in my opinion, but the option is there. But going back to the main deck, because we play Flare Malice, the Eye Twitch is going to be really good. If you also have an Orcish Bowmaster, which often gets answered by opponent's Orcish Bowmaster, you can Flare Malice your own Orcish Bowmaster, which will actually negate opponent from creating an army. So it actually cleanly answers opponent's Orcish Bowmaster that's coming down on the battlefield. You also have a Baleful Strix that you can Flare Malice as well. And we are playing 4 copies of Psychic Frog, which is actually replacing one of the cards that Nimble Mongoose has in their deck, which is Torok Dread Cantor. I'm not playing this card just because I don't own it and I don't really feel like crafting it, but I think Psychic Frog is a pretty nice substitute for that anyways, because it does get sacrificed to Flare Malice and it also gets pitched to Force Negation as well. So having said that, I'll be hopping over to some Thomas Pistol 3 to show you guys how it does. So let's honor. Alright, let's try this deck out. No Eye Twitch, which saddens me greatly. Yeah, no Eye Twitch. Seems like they have a Flare of Denial. Do I want to draw this land? I think I do. So I'll go Baleful Strix into probably maybe Flare of Denial on the opponent's turn. Pretty strong if they have a removal spell. Yeah, good thing I topped the land. This is actually very nice. Where's my Eye Twitch? Where's my Eye Twitch? Feels bad. That was like, what, 2 for 1? That was actually sweet. That was actually pretty sweet. Does this deck play more than one Surveillant? I don't think so. Right. We do like more lands, but we might actually have to mana drain here. Psychic Frog coming out. Alright, we're gonna mana drain. Right, let us... I guess make opponent use, should we make opponent use, let's actually go Ponder first. Ooh, Force of Negation. And a Night Twitch as well. I was actually looking for a land. I'll take a Force. I'll take a Psychic Frog here. Cameo.
Oh no! I'm late for class!
Brainstorm. We have a Force of Negation, so...
In the right hand,
I think we should be okay. Unless like they have like double Force of Negation. Okay, that's actually kind of annoying, right? So they could have like a source here. On my turn. Which is a bit annoying. I'll play another Psychic Frog. But this last card they have is a Force of Negation. I'll trade a opponent's Force of Negation for the ability to play Treasure Cruise on my turn, so not bad.
I am not defenseless.
Divide by 0. I think I'll play the Baleful Strixover Eye Twitch. I'll draw a card. Let's let's say I discard all 3. The thing is, they can get back a source. That's kind of the issue. So maybe I'll do this. So if they want to get back a source, they'll lose a Tamio.
I wanted to trust you. Respect the library.
Interesting. I do wonder if they have more swords. We'll see. Okay, it connects
Words can't fix everything.
into a Bowmaster. What do we have in the sideboard that we can grab?
Violence is not the
So I can divide by 0 this turn. Okay. So they shocked us in. So it's a 2-mana card. I don't think it's a mana drain. It's probably... It's probably an Orcish Bowmaster. So we're gonna grab that. Oh, I thought it was end of opponent's end step. That's my bad. We're gonna attack. Yep, it was a Bowmaster. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe I should have actually played the Orcish Bowmaster. That's really nice. Alright, so the lesson deck doing things right now. Kinda cool. Kind of cool. Right, Toxic Deluge out. Dismember in. Ghost Vacuum in. I think that's about it. Maybe a Stern Scolding. The Flare was actually very impressive. I'll just cut... maybe 2 Brainstorms. What is happening with this? Yeah, the fact that we don't even play Tamio, easy cutting Brainstorm, honestly, versus a Bowmaster deck. Alright, not bad. Really wish it wasn't an Undercity Sewer, though. So I can establish Ghost Vacuum now. Then we'll have a Fatal Push on opponent's turn. The problem is, if they have a Tameo plus, I guess they could have like a Tameo plus Brainstorm. So I kind of have to just pass here. Alright, Psychic Frog comes out. I hope I draw an untapped land. Really hope I draw an untapped land. And we didn't. Feels bad, man. So if a Tameo transforms here, we're in deep trouble. Hopefully we get Flare of Malice. Yeah, another land, not bad. What can we get with Eye Twitch? Boomerang. I could get a Desperate Plea. Kind of expensive, actually. I could just Boomerang, actually. I'll just Boomerang and then play... and then hold up a Mana Drain. Okay, so they have some sort of a counter spell. I'll shock this in and pass. Undercity Sewer. So they're holding on to a Force of Negation right now. Tameo. Alright, this last card is Force of Negation. Ooh, a Flare of Malice. Okay, well... So, I can go Treasure Cruise, leave up a Mana Drain, and then Flare of Malice, their Psychic Frog, right? Oh, I don't even have 7 cards, actually. I only have 5 cards. Oh, that's a bit of a problem, isn't it? Okay, well... let's play the Eye Twitch for Flare of Malice, then. I can even play a Ghost Vacuum. Seems like next turn, potentially like a Psychic Frog's just gonna come down, right? So I should probably get rid of a card right now. In case they draw that card. This deck is actually kind of cool. Right? So what can I get with this card now? I guess I can play this, maybe. I mean, opponent will have to counter this, right? This is actually a kind of a tough call. Man, there was actually quite a bit of things I could have done there. I just had like an information overload, you know? Alright, so 7 cars in the yard. I think it's time. Or I can Doctrine right now. I might as well just play discard spell first, right? If I'm gonna draw. We'll leave up Eye Twitch. Oh, I guess they could just draw into it. Potentially. Doesn't seem like they got it. So this is potentially a land or a black card. All right. That's very nice. Okay. We have a Eye Twitch with the Flare of Malice. That is pretty sick. Oh, we're going second. That feels kind of bad. Okay, easy 2 for 1. I guess I'll quench. No, they have another card. Ah, they have another card. I was hoping they didn't. I was hoping they didn't. Okay, so far it's looking kind of good. 3 cards in the graveyard plus 4, and then 5, 6. Then I can play the Treasure Cruise for 2 mana. I don't think that's too bad of a deal. Oh no, I can Surveil, so I'll have exactly enough to cast a Treasure Cruise here. Oh no, not the Psychic Frog though. Why are you making me decide between a Psychic Frog and a Treasure Cruise? I think I'll just cast the Treasure Cruise for 2 mana. Wait, what? Am I on drugs? Static Prison comes out. Into a land. Very strong. I'm gonna need an Eye Twitch again. Yeah, I'm gonna need an Eye Twitch again. That doesn't even work anymore because Guide of Soul already... This is gonna be a little bit too big now. However, Baleful Strix does have... Death Touch. 2 cards in the yard. Swords to Plowshare. Let's hope that last card isn't a creature. And it is. Think if we don't get Toxic Deluge, we lose the game. Man, that escalated so quick. Like, we were really doing well, and then I was really hoping for Bowmasters, Fatal Push, things like that, but we actually never got them. Didn't get any of them there. It was going so well. It was going so well until there. Yeah, that was with 0 Fatal Push and 0 Bowmasters. Okay, Bowmaster, get. So this is that's a Bowmaster. Sure. I think instead of a Quench, maybe having another Stern Scolding might be a little better in the sideboard. Stern Scolding is like a deal breaker when it comes to these kind of matchups. So you get a pretty clean answer to the Also Pride, which is actually really good. Into a Baleful Strix. Another Fatal Push. The card that I'm really looking for are, at the moment, are maybe like Eye Twitch? Maybe even a land. Maybe I should just... Okay, so that's a Bowmaster. Opponent has. I'm just gonna Fatal Push into Malice here. I'm gonna pass my turn.
Perfect. But we have peace.
Alright. Maybe attack with this, and I'll play Psychic Frog and pass. I'll take the 2. Sure. I do think that they have a Bowmaster though, but definitely doesn't feel like from how they're playing, you know? Okay, so I'll get rid of a Johnny. A nice land. I'll just attack. If they want to block with the Guide of Soul, be my guest. Alright, there it is. So they're gonna lose a target, and Bowmaster is gonna be gone. More lands, and I'll Brainstorm. Divide by 0. Okay, I'll pass. I'm gonna let opponent attack. I think I'm just going to divide by 0 here. Oh, you can't do that. Well, then I made a mistake. Darn. Made a mistake there. That was bad. I didn't know divide by 0 was like that. Stop it! Stop playing strip mines. Sink into stupor. Let me see what I can get here. Dismember and Orcish Bowmaster. Pretty good cards. I'll put that land on top. I'll just draw a card and play this land. So they have a Oscilla Pride. Alright, sure. In response to the God of Soul enter the battle effect trigger, I'll dismember the Loris. That's pretty bad. I think I actually have to kill the Guide of Soul now. Oof. Might actually lose. This is bad. Yeah, this is actually really bad the way it turned out. That turn, I really needed to divide by 0 for a board wipe, but... Man. That was so bad. So we can't have this thing be anything but a land. We really need this card to be a land. Let's hope this is a land. Ah, it just goes back to their hand though. No, it's just so bad. This car is useless. This car's useless. I mean... I don't know. I think we're dead? The thing is, this thing only does -2. So we go to 1, right? We go to 1 here. Yeah, we go to 1 here. No point in attacking since opponent gets... And we can block with Psychic Frog. That's even better, actually. Even better. Even better. Okay, but we're still not out of it yet. We're at 1, so a singular Orcish Bowmaster means we're dead, you know? A singular Bowmaster means we're dead here. So, we'll see. Okay, what if we get back a Loris? Are we gonna have that much time? I just don't see it. Do we have time for the Loris? I don't know. I don't think so. At the very least, I don't think so. Like, we could be just dying here, for all I know. Ha, they actually had it. Right, GG's. Yeah, definitely tough matchup. Blue-black generally doesn't do well against energy. Loris again. Yeah, I'm still not quite sure about the deck. I think it's cool, but I think it's very... The fact that it's so weak to energy, I'm not really sure. To make the energy matchup better, you really need, like, multiple copies of, like, Stern Scoldings and stuff like that. 3 to 4 copies of the sideboard, or, like, 3 copies and, you know, Spell Snare, but because this deck is utilizing so many sideboard slots for lesson cards, it's it doesn't like work as well. I mean, surely they ran out of a removal spell, right? Hopefully. Bowmaster. Okay, that's acceptable. I'll do X equals 1 here. You know, I did say that it's so weak to energy, and then we just beat the energy deck like instantly like that. I mean, to be fair, last game we didn't have a Toxic Deluge. Thinking about it. So maybe that's the difference? And maybe that could be the difference. Yep. It's a cool deck, though. Like, I'm not gonna lie, it is a cool deck. I twitch? Yep. I twitch. I twitch. Yep. I love it. I love to see it. Need a Flare Malice, though. I do need a Flare Malice. Yeah, here, Flare Malice would be actually insane. I'll Brainstorm. No Flare Malice. Feels bad, man. Interesting. So they must have maybe a removal spell if I do this. I'll grab a board wipe. I'll actually grab a permanent bounce in case they have a way to transform the Ajani here. I have to shock in case of a strip mine. Okay, back to square one. Back to square one. We are at 7, so not so great, you know? Not so great. Ooh, mana drain. Let's say I mana drain... I don't really want to mana drain a 1-mana card, though. I'm gonna actually just put the boomerang back. Oh, I can go Orcish Bowmaster, Boomerang Basic, Orcish Bowmaster. That's too cute. Yeah, it does seem like they do have a swords. Alright, we're gonna pass with these two cards up. Nothing. Ooh, Flare of Malice. Bowmaster, yup. We go to 5. Do we want Psychic Frogs? I don't think so. Okay, never mind. Alright, that is a good counterspell target. Maybe I just play both of them? Since I have a 0-mana spell? Double loss of pride. Short. There is an eye twitch in there, which is kind of cool. I think I just dropped 2. Draw 2. All right. As I say that, you know, deck is pretty bad against energy. We suddenly 2-0 versus an energy deck. Right, so this is Nimble Mongoose's deck. With a slight variation, we are playing 4 copies of Psychic Frog. Nimble Mongoose, on the other hand, is playing this other card that I don't have, called Torok. They're playing 2 copies of this, but I didn't really want to waste wild cards on this card, so I'm playing just 4 copies of Psychic Frog here. And the other change is we're playing 1 less copy of Mana Drain for the Psychic Frog as well. So that's like the only thing I changed. And potentially in the sideboard, I could see myself playing a little more copies of a Stern Scolding, because I do think the energy matchup is probably the matchup that you're going to struggle the most. In the first energy matchup, I did play a little bit poorly, I think. I think I could have actually definitely played a little bit better, and maybe I could have actually won that match. It did feel like even in game 1, I had a pretty good control of the game, but then I drew a bunch of cards with the Treasure Cruise, and we just couldn't find our interaction spells. Like, I was looking for Orcish Bowmasters, Fatal Push, Mana Drain, things like that, but couldn't really see it. And even in game 2, we didn't see any Toxic Deluge. So maybe that had to do with it, but in the second match of the energy, it actually was way better, because even in game 1, we actually got a Toxic Deluge and just won the game, and game 2, we had Toxic Deluge again, and we had a Ruinous Waterbending, which is actually pretty sick. Speaking of this card is pretty amazing as a lesson card. Speaking of a lesson, the Divided by Zero, I didn't play Standard at the time, so I never really got to use this card in the Standard. So I wasn't aware that it was non-token, because the card starts with return target spell or permanent. So I just automatically assumed that you can just, you know, return anything, but it's actually not the case. It is only mana value 1 or greater. Usually the tokens don't have mana value, so you gotta watch out for that, and I'm pretty sure that's how I probably lost that match. But yeah, it was pretty bad. One thing I really like about this deck is the fact that the Flare Malice is extremely good. The Flare Malice has a lot of targets like Eye Twitch, even Orcish Bowmaster, because the thing is that Orcish Bowmaster likes to target Orcish Bowmaster, right? But if they do that, the interaction is actually so sick, because you sacrifice the Orcish Bowmaster that opponent targeted, so now that opponent lost the target, they actually don't amass Orc Army token, and you just cleanly answer it, which is actually pretty sick. I think the most underwhelming card potentially here is Pest Summoning and Desperate Plea, in my opinion. But overall, I thought the deck wasn't gonna be good, but it was surprisingly decent. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Bye bye.